because it somehow made me feel much, much better as I was sitting in the back. And when you told the story of the 10-year-old boy and his father, what I realized too from a larger perspective is that sometimes we can just love what is, and that it's not everything that we understand in that moment, that it may be something else that's happening. And you know, the Chinese people have these scrolls, and there's a little tiny person, and you see it in the greater perspective, and sometimes I'm caught in my own mind in the local story without remembering that there's other chapters, and there's a bigger picture to all of it. So that story was really, really fantastic for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wonder if you can share some advice on sort of maintaining a belief in miracles.
Sorry, say.
Could you share some advice on maintaining a belief and sustaining a belief and encouraging others to do that?
Sustaining a belief?
In miracles. I think a lot of us will work with teams who will go through times where they're really struggling to sort of hold the belief in what they're trying to do.
Sure. A few years ago, what we were exactly struggling with that same question is we introduced into our own programs what we call the Beyond the Roadmap for education, for business, for individuals. On the left side of the roadmap, it's like an 8 lying on the side. On the left is what we call the motivators, to identify exactly what motivates you. And that will differ from person to person, organization to organization. And also attached to the motivator, we ask you to identify 2 or 3 behaviors, because you can't see a motivator, but you can, let's say optimism is a motivator. And you want optimism in your organization. How would you like to see the behavior of people to identify that this is optimism? So this is what we will identify. And what we do is that with these motivators on the left side, and on the right side you have your desired outcomes, again with behaviors attached to it. Every week on a Friday, you go and you look back on that week, and if you think this was an optimistic week, you draw a green circle. And if it's week after week, then it becomes default, becomes in your being. If there's red circles, we'd like to understand what is preventing optimism. And it's amazing what we have discovered. We have amazing in business. Our sales have gone up because of these motivators that are now sustained and monitored and so on. So maybe a short answer, that you need something more elaboration, but it is. Oh, believe in miracles. I think that it can work in the same kind of way. That for a miracle, for me to believe in miracle, I have to be very optimistic about life and so on. So it can work in the same way. It's like, to me, courage. If there's a kind of courage that you're struggling with, then you have to take the small step. I'm totally, in the circle that believes that creativity and courage can be taught, can be trained, and it can be learned completely. So it's that courage, and I mentioned the example of social courage. If you lack social courage, they like to come and stand here and talk to people like I had years ago. And what do? You go into that space, difficult, struggling, whatever, but you do it. It's like doing. You do it till it is in your being, till you become it. It's exactly the same kind of thing. And I would also suggest, as someone said here earlier, surround yourself with miracle makers. There are many out there. Surround yourself with them, with miracle makers.
And I'd add to that, if one looks at everything around one as a miracle all the time, it sustains one's life.
Thank you.
Neethling for that inspiring presentation. TGAL would now like to present a token of their gratitude. There will now be a 15-minute coffee break in the foyer. Ladies and gentlemen, we will reconvene here after 15 minutes for Mr. Gordeli's session.